So let's talk a little bit more about gravity. So how do you work with gravity, as it has failed other sculptors over the centuries?
Well, it's very interesting. As I mentioned before, I work with the layers, and I have great respect. I would not finish a piece unless it was gravity. If you look at ancient work, you can find Egyptian pieces and Aztec pieces that are in entirety. As you look at art history from the point of view of the development of what was done in stone, as soon as it gets to the Greek and Roman, sadly you do not find pieces that are intact anymore. You basically find only the torso. So what happened, I feel that there was a certain development that was kind of took sculptors to a point where they carry the materials to do things further than they should. And if you look at Michelangelo's Slave and unfinished work, I really believe it was finished. He finished it because he felt he couldn't carry it further down because it was unsafe structurally. So there is a certain things relating to how you work in the materials, and I think that they were much better off. They carried to a point where bronze was the better materials to do the work that they were doing.
So let's look at this a little further. You've said that you respect the work of Boaz Vaadia, Henry Moore, Noguchi. Is that because they had limitations imposed by gravity, but they made it work for them?
I think that I can say one thing. I think that every sculptor on this earth, and all of us, actually every single person here, we're dealing with gravity every moment of our life. So there is no way we cannot. We sit on a chair, the gravity is a force that existing with us without us being aware of it. It's there. Everything we do is there. So I think that some artists use more of it and some artists use less of it. I think that the artists you mentioned, I admire for different reasons. I think that Noguchi had a great respect to the stone as the materials and worked with it correctly. I think that Henry Moore developed the family units and grouping in a wonderful way.
I'm just so impressed with getting to know you and learning more about your thinking and your accomplishments. And you must feel extraordinarily proud to know that you have works that are all around the world. But I wonder, do you sit and think about, do you have a message that you are trying to present to future generations about what your perspective is, what you think about?
Relating to the fact that I'm successful and my work is all over the world, I feel very thankful and very lucky. And to the fact, if I do have a message, it's not that I have a message, I have a hope that my work would be able to awaken something within the viewer that they were not in touch before. Something would happen to them that would open up and they would be able to be connected to that primal forces that I'm talking about and kind of feel connected. I've been very, very lucky. I feel that my work been appreciated by my UPS delivery guy so I have this quite amazing range of people that somehow react to my work. But I don't know if I could say that it's something that I did. It's something that happened along the way that I did my work. The work got out there and something happened. And I don't think that artists, maybe some artists can take can say that they expect this to happen to the viewer. I don't. I allow that to happen. And I feel very, very blessed if they respond to it in their own unique way.
So, if you had a choice, what would you want people to say about what you have accomplished, what you have created? Do you want them to take away something about you?
I feel it's really interesting when you say it now. I think about something that I said. I grew up in a farm. My father, we basically grow vegetable and provide food for our bodies to survive. I'm working about the same way. I'm a farmer of the food for the spirit. And hopefully I'll be able to feed some of your spirits. That's basically in a very simple way.
So you more recently have taken up portraiture through your materials, and you have, seems that you're focused on what I might call featureless figures that symbolize what's been said to be the universal man. So what's behind that motivation to seek out recognizable personalities and represent them through your methods?
What happened is that, I would say about 7 years ago, I always try to work and create new challenges for myself, although all the challenges and the things that I work with are within the language I develop and the way I work. One of the things I recognize is that I wanted to do portraitures. I have a very classical education. When I was graduating art school, I was offered a job as a sculptor in a wax museum. So I have that capacities. But I always liked portraiture, and what I recognize is because of the style of my work, of the layering, there is no capacity for me to obtain detailed features. And if you look at the history of portraiture, most of the time, portraiture and likeness achieved by detail of features. And so for me, it was a challenge. How can I create a portrait? I know from experience that when I know someone well, I recognize them from the back. I recognize them by the way they walk. So there is something recognizable that it's not only the detail of features. And I took it on myself as a challenge to start doing portraits of actual people. And you saw some of the pictures of the big stone heads. And of course I started with my family. I did my daughters, and because I was very familiar with them. It was interesting for me to work with this because I knew them well. So it was a very easy first subject matter. And then I picked up people from the streets that I liked the way their head looked, and I worked on it. And it's a long process because what I did is I always did a classical clay portrait of them, because when I do a clay portrait, I actually get my physical intelligence to understand and how it worked, and then I would do a plaster cast of it, and then would work on the stone piece from the plaster cast. So the plaster cast would sit in my studio, and I would do the stone piece by looking at it. It's all, and then carving it. There is another thing that is very interesting to me about doing that, is that a lot of young people ask me which CAD computer program I use to produce my work. And it's really interesting to me because I've been doing it for many years, but that's the way a computer produces three-dimensional thing. And one of the things to me that it's just got to show that when you do something that it's based on certain truth of how things happen, it's timeless. And that's many times people talk about my work, they talk about the timelessness of it, and I think that that's part of it. It's that it's carried, regardless of where it is, it's carried throughout all of that.
Of all that you're doing, what is it that you really want us to pay attention to about what you are trying to accomplish? What should we walk away from and really think about?
It's very hard because I'm not the type of person that would like other people to dictate something to other people. So it's very hard for me to say. But I would really think that it would be a great pleasure to me to know if people come to a certain place within themselves when they look at my work. That it's awakening something, it's touching something within them that it's special to them, that they can carry with it. It's that exchange that is more important to me than to dictate something. It's to create just something for, that's all really. It's just an exchange, more important to me.
You know, you mentioned the Egyptian connotation and the pre-Columbia issues that some people have seen in your work, and quite frankly, I think that that's very real. but there also seems to feel like there's some kind of futuristic feeling to the work. That where do you fall in that? It seems like there's a dichotomy of philosophy behind what you create. And so do you see yourself as an extension of the Egyptians and the Colombians, or do you see yourself as really separate and apart and moving into another century?
I think, again, I think that I am doing my work now, and I do it with great respect to the history of my profession. I know that I have great respect to ancient stonework, and I always would have it, and I have great respect to other colleagues, sculptors of mine, that did things in their own way. Really, it is that respect for me is to the history, but I work now, and maybe there is timeless in what I do, but I think that I carry what was done in the past, and maybe there is certain spots to the future based on this. I know that there is many young artists now that are copying my work in the 3D program, so maybe that will be something to that effect, but I don't know what would the future would bring. And I really think that I still feel myself as a very young sculptor, and I really have quite a lot to do. I have quite a lot of new ideas that I'm working on. And the things with me is that when I have an idea, it can take me 3 seconds, and then I have to work for about 3 years to do it. So it's really that. It's the work. And I just hope that it will do something special, that's all.
I think it already has. So I just want to turn to one practical issue. You know, when you read about the work of many artists, and initially you may marvel about what they create, and the messages and the philosophy, and all those type of things that we dwell upon, and we did tonight. I feel like I psychoanalyzed you a little bit. But as a practical matter, what do you actually do in order to get works ready for public installation? You know, some of them look like they might fall over. It looks like there might be some public danger. I'm sure your insurance company likes you to make sure everything's in place. So what do you do as a practical matter to take a work and then ultimately put it into the public sphere?
What it is that all my pieces, although they stay on balance, they have structure. I drill a series of holes through the system and bolt them together. And actually there was a small film of time-lapse of how, after many months of work of carving all the layers, how a piece is put together. And it's about, what you'll see in 3.5 minutes is about 3.5 weeks of work that just to assemble the piece. And it will give you an idea of how my studio go and how it's put together.
Well, I'm glad you brought up that film because we're about to see it, and it's brief and it's very interesting, so if you just give us a second to get the screen down.